The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with beings from across the known universe. Creatures with scales, fur, and skin of every color imaginable sat in their designated seats. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had 2 eyes, others had dozens. But today, they all shared the same concern. Speaker stood at the center podium. His blue skin was wrinkled with age, and his 3 eyes moved slowly across the assembly. He had served the council for 200 years, and in all that time, he had never felt this kind of unease. "We must address the human situation," announced. His voice echoed through the chamber, translated instantly into 947 languages. "It has been 300 years since we last heard from them." A murmur rippled through the crowd. 300 years was not long for some species who lived for thousands of years, but it was an eternity for others. And for humanity, a species that rarely lived beyond a century, it meant entire generations had been born and died in silence. Admiral rose from her seat, her reptilian features twisted into what might have been concern. "We all remember their last message," she said, her forked tongue tasting the air. "They said they were going dark. They told us not to look for them." "And we respected that wish," another council member added. "The humans wanted isolation. We gave it to them." Nodded slowly. "Yes, we did, but the situation has changed. 3 days ago, we received a distress signal from Mining Colony 47. It sits at the edge of what used to be human space. The colony reported strange readings, missing ships, and automated warnings coming from the human border. Then the signal stopped." The chamber fell silent. Missing ships meant danger. Stopped signals meant death. A holographic image appeared above the center of the room. It showed the Sol system, the tiny yellow star where humanity had been born. Around it, in a sphere extending dozens of light years, was a dark zone on the galactic map. No trade routes crossed it. No explorer ships entered it. For 300 years, it had been empty space on their charts. "What do we know about the humans?" asked a young council member who had never met one. Pulled up the old records. Images of humans appeared in the hologram. They looked strange to most species. Bipedal with only 2 eyes and no natural armor or weapons. Their skin came in various shades of brown and pink. They had hair on their heads and faces. They looked soft, fragile. "The humans joined the Galactic Council in the year 2389, explained. "They were a young species, having only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years before. They were curious, energetic, and often frustrated." "Frustrated?" someone asked. "Yes," continued. "They were behind most other species in technology. When they met us, they realized they were not special. They were not the most advanced, not the most intelligent, not the strongest. This bothered them greatly." More images appeared. Pictures of human diplomats in council sessions. One face appeared more than others. A man named Min, who had been humanity's ambassador for 20 years. "Ambassador Min was a good being," said softly. He had known Min personally. They had shared meals and long conversations. He worked hard to make humanity respected, but his people grew tired. They wanted to matter. They wanted to be more than just another small species in a galaxy of giants. The records showed the final years before the silence. Human scientists had attended fewer conferences. Human traders had pulled back from major routes. Human colonies had become quieter, less interested in outside contact. Then came the last message. The hologram played it again, as it had been played countless times over the centuries. Min appeared, looking older and tired. Behind him stood a woman, Dr. Hana, a human scientist. Both wore the blue uniforms of the United Earth government. "To the Galactic Council and all member species," Min said in the recording. "Humanity has reached a decision. We are choosing to withdraw from galactic affairs. We need time to develop on our own terms without comparison, without outside pressure. We are going dark. Please respect our wishes and do not come looking for us. We will return when we are ready. This is not goodbye forever. This is goodbye for now." The message ended. That had been the last anyone heard from humanity. The year 2547, 300 years ago. Admiral broke the silence. So what happened to them? Did they destroy themselves? Did they simply fade away? Unknown, admitted. But we need to find out. The missing colony, the strange readings, the warnings. Something is happening in human space, and it might threaten neighboring systems. "Then we must send an expedition," declared. "A fleet strong enough to handle any threat." The council debated for hours. Some wanted to leave the humans alone, respecting their ancient wishes. Others argued that 300 years was long enough, that the galaxy had a right to know what existed in that dark zone. Finally, they voted. The decision was unanimous. They would send an expeditionary fleet of 50 ships. Representatives from 20 different species would go, with scientists, diplomats, and soldiers aboard. They would cross into human space and discover the truth. As the council session ended and the members departed, remained at the podium. He looked at the frozen image of Min, his old friend, and wondered what had become of him and his people. Had the humans found what they were looking for in their isolation? Had they grown and developed as they hoped? Or had something terrible happened in those 300 years of silence? Had a strange feeling in his chest, something the humans had called a hunch. Whatever they found in the Sol system, it would change everything. The galaxy had continued turning without humanity for 3 centuries, but somehow knew that was about to end. The humans had asked for time. They had taken 300 years. Now, whether they were ready or not, the galaxy was coming to see what they had become. Admiral approached as he stood alone. "What do you think we will find?" she asked quietly. His 3 eyes blinked slowly. "I do not know," he said, "but I remember something Min once told me. He said humans had a saying, 'Necessity is the mother of invention.' They also said, 'What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.'" "What does that mean?" "It means," said, "that if the humans survived these 300 years, they did not waste them. They are either dead or they are something we cannot yet imagine." The fleet would launch in 1 week. 50 ships would cross into the dark zone, and the galaxy would finally get its answer to the question that had lingered for 3 centuries. What happened to humanity? The expeditionary fleet moved through deep space like a school of fish swimming through an dark ocean. 50 ships of different designs and sizes traveled together, their engines creating beautiful trails of light against the black void. Captain stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the stars ahead with his compound eyes. Was an insect-like species known for their logical thinking and careful planning. He had been chosen to lead this mission because of his calm nature and experience, but even he felt nervous as they approached the boundary of human space. "We are 3 hours from the marked border," announced the navigation officer. Her name was Wu, and she was unique among the crew. Her mother had been, but her grandmother had been human, one of the last humans to leave their space before the Great Silence. Wu had grown up hearing stories about her grandmother, tales of Earth with its blue oceans and green forests, stories of human cities that touched the sky. Her grandmother had died 50 years ago, never knowing what happened to her people. Now Wu would find out. "Run all scans," ordered. "I want to know everything about the space ahead before we cross that line." The science officer, a being named Quinn who lived in a tank of water, worked at his console. His webbed fingers moved quickly across the controls. "Sir," he said, his voice bubbling through his translator, "I am detecting something unusual. There appears to be a barrier of some kind, an energy field surrounding multiple star systems." A barrier moved closer to the display. "Show me." The main screen lit up with sensor data. What they saw made everyone on the bridge fall silent. Stretching across space like an invisible wall was a field of pure energy. It encompassed not just the Sol system, but dozens of other star systems around it. The field was perfectly spherical and massive beyond belief. "That should not be possible," Quinn said, his eye stalks widening. "The power required to maintain such a field would be enormous. It would take the output of an entire star." "Can we pass through it?" asked. "Unknown. The field is unlike anything in our databases. The technology is completely foreign." Wu studied her console with growing excitement and fear. This was proof that something existed in human space, something active, something advanced enough to build barriers around dozens of star systems. As the fleet drew closer, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed across every bridge in all 50 ships. "We are being scanned," reported the tactical officer. "Multiple sources. The scans are incredibly detailed. They are analyzing our ships down to the molecular level." "Defensive positions," commanded, "but do not power weapons. We are here in peace." The fleet slowed and arranged itself in a standard diplomatic formation. They waited, floating in space before the invisible wall, while something on the other side studied them. Then objects began to appear. They materialized out of nothing, simply blinking into existence around the fleet. They were platforms, each one the size of a small building, covered in weapons and sensors. Hundreds of them surrounded the 50 ships. "Sir, those are defense platforms," the tactical officer said, his voice shaking. "They just appeared. They did not travel here. They teleported." Felt his heart's beating faster. Teleportation technology was theoretical. No species in the galaxy had successfully created it. Yet here were hundreds of platforms that had simply appeared in space. "Are they targeting us?" he asked. "No, sir, they are watching us, waiting." For 2 days, nothing happened. The fleet waited before the barrier while the platforms observed them. The crews grew restless. Some wanted to turn back. Others wanted to try forcing their way through, kept them calm and patient. On the 3rd day, all the communication systems on every ship activated at once. A message came through, transmitted on every possible frequency, in every language known to the Galactic Council. "State your purpose." The voice was artificial but clear. The message repeated in 947 languages, one after another. When it finished, it started again. Wu gasped. "That is Old Earth English in the base transmission. I recognize it from my grandmother's lessons." Broadcast a response. "This is Captain of the Galactic Council Expeditionary Fleet. We come in peace. We seek to know the status of humanity. We received a distress signal from a colony near your border. We wish to offer assistance and re-establish contact." Silence. 2 more days passed. The platforms remained. The barrier stayed solid. The fleet waited. Then on the 5th day, a new message came through. This time it was not artificial. It was a real voice, a human voice. "Expeditionary Fleet, this is Captain Wu of the United Terran Federation, 1st Contact Division. We have analyzed your ships and your intentions. Your presence at our border raises important questions. After 300 years of isolation, we must ask why you have come now." Wu's hands shook as she heard the human voice. The United Terran Federation, not the United Earth Government. The name had changed. Replied carefully. "Captain Wu, we come seeking answers and offering friendship. The Galactic Council wishes to know if humanity survived and if you require assistance. We also investigate the distress signal and disappearances near your border." Another long pause. Then Wu responded. "The distress signal was a test. We needed to know if the galaxy had become more peaceful or more aggressive in our absence. We needed to know if it was safe to make contact again." "A test?" Felt confused and slightly angry. "You endangered a colony as a test." "The colony was evacuated before any danger occurred. All beings are safe. We apologize for the deception, but after 300 years, we needed to be cautious." Took a deep breath through his spiracles. then humanity survives. Yes, Captain, humanity not only survives, we have thrived, we have grown, we have changed, and now we must decide if we should reveal ourselves to the galaxy again. The bridge crew looked at each other in amazement. Humanity was alive. They had been hiding behind this impossible barrier for 3 centuries. "Will you meet with us?" asked. "Will you allow us to see what you have become?" A very long silence followed. Imagine discussions happening on the other side of that barrier, decisions being made, arguments being had. The fate of the entire galaxy might rest on what the humans decided next. Finally, Wu's voice returned. "Approach Mars. Send only 3 ships, your flagship and 2 others of your choosing. The rest of your fleet must remain at the current position. Any aggressive action will be considered hostile. Any attempt to record or transmit military data will result in immediate expulsion from our space. Do you accept these terms?" Looked at his crew. This was the moment. They could turn back now and report that humanity was alive but unwilling to talk, or they could accept the terms and step into the unknown. "We accept," said. "We will approach Mars with 3 ships only. We come in peace and seek only knowledge and friendship." "Acknowledged," Wu replied. "Transmitting approach vector now. Welcome to the Terran Federation, Captain. What you are about to see will change everything you know about humanity. Navigate carefully and keep an open mind. In 300 years we have not been idle." The barrier opened. A tunnel of safe space formed through the energy field, just wide enough for 3 ships. Wu plotted the course to Mars with trembling hands. She was going to see the world where her grandmother had been born. She was going to meet humans. As the 3 ships separated from the fleet and moved toward the tunnel, sent one final message to the Galactic Council. "We have made contact. Humanity lives. Proceeding to Mars. What we find there will determine the future of galactic civilization." The 3 ships entered the tunnel and passed through the impossible barrier. Behind them, the opening sealed shut. There was no turning back now. Ahead in the distance, a small red planet waited. Mars, and around it, something that made every sensor on the ship scream with impossible readings. Structures that should not exist. Technology that understanding. Humanity had not been idle indeed. The 3 ships approached Mars, and what they saw made no sense. The red planet they remembered from old records was gone. In its place was something that seemed impossible. Mars was green. Not just patches of green, but entire continents covered in forests and grasslands. Oceans sparkled blue under the sun. White clouds drifted through an atmosphere that readings said was breathable. The planet that had once been dead was now alive. But that was not the most shocking thing. Orbiting Mars was a station. Calling it a station was like calling a star a candle. It was the size of a small moon, a massive ring of metal and light that glowed with power. Thousands of ships came and went from it like bees around a hive. "This cannot be real," Quinn whispered from his tank. His instruments showed readings that made no scientific sense. "The energy output from that station alone is greater than most civilizations produce in a year." Wu stared at the planet with tears in her eyes. Her grandmother had told her Mars was a dusty red rock where humans had struggled to build small domes to survive. This was a paradise world. A voice came through their communication system. "Expeditionary ships, this is Orbital Station Olympus. You are cleared to dock at Bay 17. Please follow the navigation markers. Captain Wu will meet you there." The 3 ships followed glowing lines that appeared in space, guiding them to the massive station. As they got closer, they could see the details. Gardens grew in sections open to space, contained by invisible force fields. Buildings that gravity floated in clusters. Beings moved between sections without ships, simply flying through the void in individual suits. They docked smoothly. The bay was clean and bright, with technology that looked like art. Everything curved and flowed like it had been grown instead of built. The airlocks opened, and Captain led his delegation out. 20 beings from different species stepped into the human station, not knowing what to expect. A group of humans waited for them. They wore simple uniforms of dark blue, with no weapons visible. At the front stood a man who smiled warmly. "Captain," the man said, extending his hand in the ancient human gesture of greeting. "I am Captain Wu. Welcome to the Terran Federation." Carefully shook the human's hand with one of his limbs. Wu looked young, maybe 30 years old by human standards, but there was something in his eyes that seemed much older. "Thank you for receiving us," said. "We have many questions." "And we will answer them," Wu replied. "But first, let me introduce someone who has been eager to meet you." He gestured to a woman standing behind him. "This is Ambassador Yi Jin. She will be your guide today." Yi Jin stepped forward. She had kind eyes and spoke in a gentle voice. "We know this must be overwhelming. 300 years is a long time. Much has changed. We want to help you understand." Wu stepped forward from the delegation. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I am Lieutenant Wu. My grandmother was human. She left before the silence. She always wondered what happened to her people." Yi Jin's expression softened. "Then you are home, Wu. Part of you has always been Terran, even if you did not know it. We are glad you came." The humans led the delegation through the station. What they saw along the way seemed like magic. Humans worked alongside machines that were more than robots. The machines seemed alive, aware, but not slaves. They were partners. They passed through a medical bay where a doctor named Sung Min was treating patients. One patient had arrived with a disease that should have been fatal. The humans had cured it in minutes using tiny machines they called. The machines swam through the blood, fixing everything that was broken, then dissolved harmlessly. They saw food being created from nothing but energy and base elements. Not grown or cooked, but assembled at the molecular level. It was perfect, healthy, and unlimited. They reached a large observation deck that looked out over Mars. The delegation stood at the windows, staring at the transformed planet below. "How?" asked simply, "How did you do all this?" Dr. Sungmin, who had joined them, began to explain. He was an older man with gray in his hair, but he moved with the energy of someone young. "When humanity went silent 300 years ago, we made a choice. We were tired of being behind, tired of being weak, tired of being ordinary. So we decided to change everything," Wu continued. "We called it the metamorphosis. We took every scientist, every engineer, every brilliant mind humanity had, and we gave them one task: make us better." Yi Jin brought up holographic displays showing the history. The delegation watched as the humans closed their borders and began their transformation. "We pursued sciences that others called forbidden or impossible. We explored quantum mechanics until we could manipulate reality itself. We studied consciousness until we understood how minds work. We mastered genetics until we could improve our own bodies." The images showed humans changing over generations. They lived longer. Their minds connected with computers directly. They could think faster, learn quicker, and create more efficiently. "We did not do this through genetic manipulation alone," Sungmin explained. "We integrated technology with biology. Every human now has in their blood from birth. They repair damage, fight disease, and enhance our capabilities. We live for 500 years or more now. We are stronger, smarter, and healthier than we ever were." "But we did not stop with ourselves," Wu added. He gestured to Mars below. "We learned to transform worlds. What took nature billions of years, we can now do in years. Mars was our first success. We gave it an atmosphere, oceans, and life. 40 billion humans now live on that planet in cities that float in the sky and burrow deep underground." Felt his legs weaken. 40 billion on Mars alone. "Yes," Yi Jin confirmed. "And Earth, our birth world, we returned to nature. Only 1 billion humans live there now, protecting it as a sacred garden. We have spread to 200 star systems in our isolation. We build megastructures that harvest the power of stars. We have ships that can cross the galaxy in days. We have weapons that can crack planets and shields that can stop anything. The delegation stood in stunned silence. This was beyond anything they had imagined. Humanity had not just survived their isolation. They had evolved into something far beyond what they had been. Quinn finally spoke, his voice bubbling with disbelief. Why did you do all this? Why push so hard? Wu looked at him seriously. Because we had to know if we were special. When we joined the galaxy, we learned we were just one of thousands of species. We were not the strongest, not the most important. That hurt us deeply. So we went away to find out what we could become if we truly tried. And what did you become? Asked quietly. Sungmin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had paid a great price for knowledge. We became what we needed to be. We are not gods, Captain. We are still human. We still feel fear and doubt. We still make mistakes, but we are no longer weak. We are no longer helpless. We are no longer ordinary. The question now, Yijin said softly, is what we do with what we have become. We could have stayed hidden forever. We have everything we need behind our barriers, but we chose to respond to your signal. We chose to reveal ourselves. Do you know why? Shook his head. Because, Wu said, we detected something coming, something from beyond the galaxy, something that will arrive in 100 years, something that threatens all life. We spent 300 years preparing ourselves, but we cannot face it alone. The galaxy needs to unite, and we are offering to help lead that preparation. He looked at each member of the delegation in turn. We did not reveal ourselves to conquer you. We revealed ourselves to save you. The question is whether the galaxy will accept our help, or whether fear of what we have become will divide us when we need unity most. Wu found her voice. What is coming? Wu pulled up a display showing deep space. In the darkness between galaxies, something moved. It was huge, bigger than any fleet, any structure, any world. We do not know exactly what it is, but our sensors say it consumes everything in its path. Stars, planets, life, everything. It has destroyed 3 galaxies already. Ours is next. The room fell silent. The miracle of Mars, the wonder of human technology, all of it suddenly made sense. Humanity had not spent 300 years advancing for pride or power. They had done it to survive. They had seen the storm coming and had built a shelter. Now they were offering to share that shelter with the rest of the galaxy. Will you help us convince the council? Yijin asked. Will you tell them what you have seen and what we offer? Looked at his delegation. He saw fear in their eyes, but also hope. We will tell them, he said, but they will not believe words alone. They will need proof. Wu nodded. Then tomorrow, we will give you proof. We will show you what humanity can do. And then you can decide if you want us as allies or if you would prefer to face the coming darkness alone. The demonstration took place near Jupiter, far enough from Mars that there would be no risk to the populated areas. The 3 ships from the delegation joined the rest of their fleet, which had been allowed to cross the barrier. All 50 ships gathered to witness what humanity wanted to show them. Captain stood on his bridge, watching the space ahead. Next to him stood Wu, who had barely slept after seeing Mars. The other ships in the fleet were equally alert, their crews wondering what would happen next. Contact from the Terrans, the communication officer reported. A human appeared on the main screen. She wore a military uniform with markers of high rank. Her face was calm but serious. I am Admiral Bora of the Terran Defense Fleet. I will be conducting today's demonstration. I want to make something clear before we begin. This is not a threat. This is information. You need to understand what we can do so you can make informed decisions about our offer of alliance. Nodded. We understand, Admiral. We are ready. Good, Bora said. First, we will demonstrate our combat capabilities. I am sending coordinates for a simulation zone. Please position your fleet in a defensive formation. We will run a combat simulation against all 50 of your ships." A simulation, felt confused, against all 50 ships. "Correct, do not worry. No actual weapons will be fired. Our systems will simply calculate who would win in a real battle. Your computers will receive the simulation data in real time." The fleet moved into position, forming a defensive sphere with the strongest ships on the outside. It was a formation they had practiced many times. 50 ships working together could defend against almost any threat. Then in the distance something appeared. A single ship materialized out of nothing, just like the defense platforms had done days before. It was massive, 5 kilometers long, shaped like a blade cutting through space. Lights ran along its hull, pulsing with power. "This is the TSF Indomitable," Bora announced. "Crew of 200 humans and 300 AI partners. Standard Terran cruiser class. Beginning simulation now." What happened next took only 11 minutes. The delegation watched in horror as their computers showed the simulation results. The human ship moved in ways that should have been impossible. It appeared in one place, then teleported to another. It split into multiple images, making it impossible to target. Its shields absorbed every shot the fleet simulation threw at it. Meanwhile, the human ship fired back. Its weapons created tiny black holes that tore through simulated shields. It launched missiles that moved faster than light. It used beams of energy that cut through hulls like they were paper. One by one, the simulation showed the fleet's ships being destroyed. 5 ships gone in the first minute, 10 ships by the 3rd minute, 20 ships by the 6th minute. By the 11th minute, all 50 ships showed as destroyed. The human ship had not taken a single point of damage. Sat down heavily in his chair. Around him, his crew looked pale and frightened. Across the fleet, similar reactions occurred. They had just watched themselves lose a battle against a single enemy ship. "Simulation complete," Bora said calmly. "I want to be clear. This is one ship. We have 10,000 ships of this class. We have 1,000 ships that are 10 times more powerful. This is not a boast. This is a fact. We are showing you this so you understand the level of preparation we have achieved." "But we are not just warriors," another voice added. Captain Wu appeared next to Bora on the screen. "Let us show you what else we can do." The scene shifted. The delegation's ships were directed to look at a small moon orbiting Jupiter. It was a dead rock, frozen and airless. Sensors showed it had never supported life. "Watch carefully," Wu said. A fleet of human ships appeared around the moon. They were smaller than the warship, designed for construction rather than combat. They arranged themselves in a pattern around the dead rock. Then they began to work. The ships fired beams of energy at the moon's surface. The delegation watched as the dead rock began to change. The surface heated and melted. Gases rose from the interior, forming an atmosphere. Water, somehow created or transported, began to flow across the surface, forming rivers and seas. The human ships worked with perfect coordination. Some added chemicals to the soil. Others seeded the atmosphere with bacteria. Still others used massive force fields to shape the landscape, creating mountains and valleys. 6 hours, that was all it took. In 6 hours, the dead moon became a living world. The delegation's sensors confirmed it. The atmosphere was breathable. The water was clean. The soil could support plants. The temperature was comfortable. A world that should have taken millions of years to form had been created in 6 hours. "We call this rapid terraforming," explained Dr. Sung Min, who appeared on the communication screen. "We can transform any rocky planet or moon into a habitable world. We have done this to 73 worlds so far. We could do it to 1,000 more if needed. No species in the galaxy ever needs to fight over habitable space again. We can create as much as needed." The delegation members looked at each other in amazement. The military demonstration had been frightening, but this was hopeful. This was the power to create rather than destroy. But there is more, Wu said. He appeared on the screen again, this time with a human who wore a medical coat. This is Dr. Min, our chief medical officer. She wants to show you something. Dr. Min held up a small container. Inside were tiny machines, so small they were almost invisible. These are medical. We are prepared to share this technology with the galaxy. These machines can cure almost any disease, repair almost any injury, and extend the of most species. We are offering this freely. She brought forward a being who had been sick. The delegation recognized him as one of their own crew members, who had been suffering from a genetic disease that had no cure. Dr. Min injected him with the... Within minutes, the sick being stood up straight. His color returned. His pain vanished. The disease is gone, Min confirmed. They found every damaged cell and repaired it. They will remain in his body, protecting him from future illness. He will live twice as long as normal for his species, perhaps longer. Across the fleet, crew members began to whisper excitedly. A cure for all diseases, longer life for everyone. This was beyond price. We also have solved energy problems, Wu continued. The view changed to show a massive structure in space. This is a sphere in progress. It captures the energy of a star. One of these can power an entire civilization forever. We can build them for any species that wants one. Clean, unlimited energy. Another display showed food synthesis technology. No one needs to be hungry. We can create any food from basic elements, enough to feed billions. The demonstrations continued. Technology for faster ships, methods for cleaning polluted worlds, ways to communicate instantly across vast distances. Humanity was offering solutions to problems that had plagued the galaxy for thousands of years. Finally, a new human appeared on the screen. He was older with white hair and sharp eyes. I am Envoy Dong. I lead humanity's diplomatic and strategic planning. I want to be direct with you all. His voice was cold and calculating, different from the friendly tones of the others. We have shown you what we can do. We can destroy or we can create. We can kill or we can heal. We can be your worst enemy or your greatest ally. We prefer to be your ally, but make no mistake. We have spent 300 years preparing. We are ready for anything. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. The threat from beyond the galaxy is real. It is coming. In 100 years it will arrive. We have seen what it does. It does not negotiate. It does not stop. It consumes everything. Alone, none of us can stop it. Together, with preparation and unity, we have a chance. So here is our offer, Dong continued. We will share our technology. We will help you prepare. We will fight alongside you, but we will not be dismissed or disrespected. We will not accept being treated as subordinates. We are offering partnership as equals. Actually, we are offering partnership from a position of strength. We do not need you, but you need us. Remember that when you make your decision. The screen went dark. The demonstrations were over. The fleet sat in silence, processing everything they had seen. Admiral Bora's voice came through one last time. You have 48 hours to discuss among yourselves. Then we will escort you back beyond our border. Captain Wu will meet with you privately before you leave. He has additional information to share. For now, rest. Think carefully about what you have witnessed. Looked around his bridge. His crew looked overwhelmed. Across the fleet, he knew similar reactions were happening. Fear, hope, amazement, and worry all mixed together. Wu spoke quietly. Sir, they just showed us they could destroy our entire fleet with one ship. Then they showed us they could create paradise in 6 hours. Then they offered to cure our diseases and solve our energy problems. What are we supposed to think? Had no answer. Humanity had spent 300 years becoming something beyond anything the galaxy had known. They were offering to share that power, but also warning that they could use it as a weapon if needed. We report everything to the Council, finally said. We let them decide. But Wu, I want you to know something. Your grandmother would have been proud. Her people did not fail. They became something incredible. Wu nodded, tears in her eyes. But will the galaxy accept them, or will fear win over hope? That was the question that would determine everything. Humanity had shown their hand. Now the galaxy had to respond. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Every seat was occupied. Species that rarely attended council sessions had sent representatives. The news of the expeditionary fleet's return had spread across the galaxy like fire. Everyone wanted to know the truth about humanity. Speaker called the session to order. His three eyes looked tired. He had spent days reviewing the reports, watching the recordings, studying the data. Everything pointed to one impossible conclusion. Humanity had become the most powerful force in the known galaxy. Captain will present his findings, announced. His voice was steady, but everyone could hear the tension beneath it. Approached the center podium. Behind him, holographic displays lit up, showing images from their journey. Mars in green, the massive orbital station, the demonstration near Jupiter. Every council member leaned forward, watching intently. Honored council members began. 300 years ago, humanity asked for isolation. We gave it to them. Now we know what they did with that time. They transformed themselves. They pursued sciences we thought impossible. They achieved what no other species has achieved. They became something new. He showed the recording of the combat simulation. The council watched in silence as one human ship defeated 50 ships from various species. Gasps and shocked whispers filled the chamber. One ship, repeated. They have 10,000 of these ships. They have larger ones that are even more powerful. Their military capability exceeds the combined forces of the entire Galactic Council by a factor we cannot even measure accurately. Then we are in danger, someone shouted from the assembly. They could conquer us all. Wait, said, holding up a limb. See what else they can do. He showed the terraforming demonstration. The dead moon becoming a paradise world in 6 hours. This time, the gasps were different. These were sounds of wonder and hope. They offer to share this, explained. They can create habitable worlds. They can cure diseases. They can provide unlimited clean energy. They can solve problems we have struggled with for thousands of years. He showed the medical demonstration, the food synthesis, the energy collection. Each new technology brought more amazed reactions from the council. Why, asked an old council member, why would they share such power? What do they want in return? Before could answer, the chamber doors opened. A group of humans entered, led by Ambassador Yi Jin. Walking beside her was an older human man who moved with quiet authority. Behind them came Captain Wu and several other humans. The council fell silent. These were the first humans most of them had ever seen in person. Yi Jin approached the podium, standing next to. Honored council members, Yi Jin said, her voice clear and calm. Thank you for receiving us. My name is Yi Jin and I am humanity's ambassador. With me is Young, director of the Human Diplomatic Corps. We come to make a formal proposal. Young stepped forward. He looked remarkably like the old Ambassador Min from 300 years ago. Realized this must be his descendant. My great-great-grandfather Min was the last human ambassador to this council, Young said. He left because humanity felt small and powerless. We felt we had nothing to offer. We felt we would always be behind, always struggling to keep up. So we left to find out what we could become. He gestured to the displays showing human technology. This is what we became. In 300 years, we pushed ourselves harder than any species has ever pushed themselves. We sacrificed comfort for progress. We took risks others called foolish. We pursued knowledge others called forbidden. And it worked. But we did not do this for conquest, Yi Jin added quickly. We did this because we saw something others have not yet seen, something coming from the darkness beyond our galaxy. She activated a new display. It showed the thing approaching from intergalactic space. the massive entity that consumed everything in its path. The council members stared at it in growing horror. "This is why we prepared," Young said. "Our long-range sensors detected this threat 250 years ago. We realized that in 100 years it will reach our galaxy. It has already destroyed 3 other galaxies, trillions of lives gone, thousands of civilizations erased, and it is coming here next." The chamber erupted in noise. Council members shouted questions. Some it was possible, others demanded to see the data, called for silence, pounding his gavel repeatedly. "We have this information," announced. "Human sensors are far more advanced than ours, but we were able to confirm the readings. The threat is real." "Which brings us to our proposal," Yijin said. She stood tall, her voice strong. "Humanity offers a full alliance with the Galactic Council. We will share our technology. We will help prepare defenses. We will stand with you against this threat. But we have conditions." She listed them clearly. "First, humanity must have equal status on this council. No more, no less. We are partners, not servants or masters. Second, we share humanitarian technology freely. Medical, food, energy, terraforming. These things we give to all species who want them. Third, we maintain sovereignty over our territory. Our systems remain autonomous. Fourth, military technology is shared only with species who prove they will use it responsibly. We will not arm those who seek conquest. And finally," Young added, "we need unity. The coming threat cannot be fought by divided forces. We need every species working together. We need trust, cooperation, and sacrifice. We need the galaxy to become what humanity became: better, stronger, united." A council member from a warrior species stood up. "And if we refuse, if we do not want your help?" Young looked at him steadily. "Then we remain behind our barriers and you face the coming threat alone. We will survive. We have prepared for centuries. We have everything we need. But billions of other beings will die. Entire species will be erased. We would rather prevent that, but we cannot force you to accept our help." Another council member from a peaceful species raised her voice. "How do we know we can trust you? You have weapons that can destroy us all. What stops you from using them?" "Nothing," Yijin said honestly. "Nothing stops us except our choice. We chose to use 300 years to become strong, but also to become wise. We learned that power without purpose is meaningless. We have the power to destroy, yes, but we choose to create instead. We are asking you to trust that choice." Speaker stood up. "I knew Ambassador Min. He was my friend. He was a good being who wanted only the best for his people. I see that same spirit in you, Young, but the council must decide. This is too important for one person's opinion." "We understand," Yijin said. "We are prepared to answer any questions. We are prepared to provide any evidence you need. Take your time, discuss among yourselves, but please remember we have 100 years until the threat arrives. That seems like a long time, but it is not. Preparation takes time. Building defenses takes time. Training takes time. The sooner we start, the better our chances." The council debated for 3 days. Wu, who had been chosen as the official liaison between humans and other species, watched the discussions. She saw fear in many faces: fear of human power, fear of losing independence, fear of change. But she also saw hope. She saw sick beings thinking about the medical technology. She saw representatives from crowded worlds thinking about terraforming. She saw military leaders thinking about the coming threat. On the 3rd day, the vote was called. One by one, each species cast their vote, accept humanity's offer or decline it. The results came in. 93% voted to accept. Only a few species, isolated and suspicious, voted against it, but the majority was clear. The galaxy wanted humanity's help. Speaker made the announcement. "The Galactic Council accepts the offer of alliance from the United Terran Federation. Welcome back, humanity. We have missed you." Yijin smiled, and there were tears in her eyes. "Thank you. You will not regret this. We promise to be worthy of your trust." Young stepped forward one more time. My great-great-grandfather left this council with words of disappointment. Allow me to return with words of hope. 300 years ago, humanity felt small and weak. We were tired of being underestimated. We went away to find our strength. Today, we return not as conquerors, but as protectors. We heard your call, we saw your need, and we responded. He paused, looking around the chamber at all the different species. The humans have a saying, no one left behind. It means we do not abandon those who need help. 300 years ago, we left you because we could not help. Today, we return because we can. We are ready to face the darkness coming from beyond the stars. The question we asked you was simple. Are you ready to stand with us? You have answered yes. That answer changes everything. In 100 years, when the threat arrives, it will not find a divided galaxy of weak species fighting alone. It will find a united civilization, armed with the best technology, protected by the strongest defenses, and fighting with the courage of those who have everything to lose. His voice grew stronger, more passionate. It will find humanity standing with our allies. It will find species who chose hope over fear. It will find a galaxy that refused to surrender. And it will learn what we learned in our 300 years of preparation. That beings who work together, who trust each other, who sacrifice for each other, are unstoppable. The council chamber erupted in applause. Species that had been enemies for centuries stood and clapped together. The humans had done more than offer technology. They had offered a purpose, a reason to unite, a chance to survive. Wu stood with the human delegation, tears streaming down her face. Her grandmother had wondered what happened to humanity. Now she knew. They had not failed. They had not given up. They had not disappeared. They had been preparing to save the galaxy. Above Earth, in the darkness of space, human ships began to move. Thousands of vessels, each one a masterpiece of engineering, powered up their systems. They were joined by ships from other species, coming to help build the galaxy's defense. The great work was beginning. 100 years to prepare, 100 years to build, 100 years to create the greatest defense force ever assembled. Humanity had spent 300 years in silence, becoming strong enough to protect those who could not protect themselves. Now they would spend 100 years teaching the galaxy how to stand together. When the threat arrived, it would not find easy prey. It would find a galaxy that had learned from humanity's example, a galaxy that chose to become better, a galaxy that refused to surrender. 300 years ago, the galaxy had heard humanity's last message. Today, they heard humanity's response. We are ready, stand with us. Together we will survive.